yeah. Oh, I do remember arriving here, and then they got off the train, got on buses, and then they bused us here to this point. And there was this guard tower sitting there, and I do remember seeing soldiers on it.
Do you remember what block you were in?
3211B. So it would have been when you go in the door, you have doors into apartments on both sides. I mean, it's kind of an entry. And so we were in B, which is A, and B is to the left of that door over there. And so that's A, B, C, D, E, F. So we'll be going into E and F.
Okay, watch your feet because it's a little wild.
Okay. We had potbelly stove, coal-burning potbelly stove.
Did it get cold in winter?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And it was exactly like, the wind would blow underneath. And when we moved in, it was just wood with knot holes with the knots knocked out some places. So you had I remember Bacha using newspaper to cover everything.
Oh, yeah. That's what the stove. You also had, and that would have been your chimney that this room would have shared, your coal burning stove. But there's no insulation. So during the winter, if you're right next to the stove, you're okay. Anywhere else, there's no way to retain the heat.
Most of all, I guess, I remember Bachan working so hard to keep things, normal. So using, I don't know where she found the newspaper, but she would line the floor with newspaper and somehow found linoleum, and she'd put the linoleum over the newspaper, sort of loose, just as was.
So it was to make it like visually more aesthetically pleasing, or was it kind of a dual purpose for the wind and the dirt?
A little of both. I think Bachan was very sensitive about being normal and.
Everything's okay. It's just we're just gonna.
Yeah. Well, Bachan would have been about 40 in her 40s.
Mm-hmm.
42 to 45. 6 children.
Woo. Oh yes. Oh my.
So what do you remember about this, Mom?
I remember the double doors. But then there was a partition up ahead where the kitchen was, And there was a counter where everybody went by to get their food. That took up about where those tables are.
So did they feed you Japanese style food?
Oh no,
Potatoes.
potatoes, right?
Not much rice?
And napa.
What?
Napa.
Yeah, oh yeah. There's a lot of canned foods. Canned fish that was served, and they would literally just open the can and go, and this round ball of fish.
Oh. Not heated or anything.
Oh no, it was heated,
Oh.
but
Yeah.
that print there I remember they would have classes for everybody, it was just to keep them busy, sort of craft classes. Everybody made a cut. What do they call that?
Like a liner craft.
Yeah. Everybody made one of the water towers.
Yeah.
And so I remember, gosh, I remember making one.
They're basically.
So Dorothy, how many of your relatives were here other than your immediate family?
Everyone was here. The Yoshitomis were in the same block as we, but up in Barrack 1 or so. But the Watanabes were in, let's see, 30.
Dorothy, do you remember as a child when your family received notification that you had to leave your home? Well, can you describe what that day or moment was like?
I remember sitting in front of the radio listening to the bombing of Pearl Harbor and just, I mean, what does that mean? I mean, it was just weird. But then within 2 weeks, we were notified and we were sent to the Portland Livestock Pavilion, which was created into little cubicles and for families. We were there for about 3 months. Then we're sent to Idaho. Actually, it must have been May or so by the time we left home, but it was within that time of being notified we have to leave. But of course I was, 11, 12 years old, so really didn't mean, big adventure for me.
Did your parents sit you down and talk to you as a family about it, or how did you find out?
No,
from your
not really.
friends?
They may have with my older siblings, but not with Kay or me. I don't remember ever sitting down and talking about it. But can you imagine? I just now sit and think, oh my gosh, they were told that the family would be picked up out of their farm, sent to who knows where. I remember getting on the train and from the livestock pavilion, and the shades were pulled, and they said, do not pull the shades up. And this was probably late afternoon. Do not pull the shades up. So we couldn't see where we were going. We just went. And it was at night when we got here, and so we couldn't really see what we had around, but getting into a bus from the train and then coming out to here.
Did you know you were coming to Idaho?
I don't remember knowing that we were coming here, but I'm sure my sister did, and my brothers.
And how long was the train ride approximately?
Oh gosh, seems to me it was all night.
And then when you arrived here on the bus, what were your original thoughts? Was there a lot of commotion? Were there a lot of kids running around?
I don't really remember a lot of actually getting here. I remember, the dry, but as far as buildings or moving into a site or anything, I don't remember that.
So what was the mood of your parents once they were here? And was it?
Gambate, just this is what it is. Ji-chan went out to the local farms and worked. They allowed that. So he worked out in the local farms and got a better wage than he would if he worked here, I would imagine. But Bachan did a lot of craft stuff. She did a lot of crocheting, yeah, embroidering.
So Dorothy, do you remember leaving here? Do you remember being told that you could go home and those types of things?
Yeah, but I don't remember it being a wonderful, occasion. I knew we were going back to Milwaukee, and we were going to be living with our relatives in their house, because the house that we lived in, oh gosh, it was just in shambles. We left, with just a suitcase. That's all we had. And assuming that things would be left the way they were when we got back, and furniture was gone, windows broken, so Jicha had to fix all of that. So we weren't able to move back into our house for a while. I think many of the families felt that they were just going to be sent, and maybe even sent back to Japan, so they just got as much as they could out of what they had. But my parents and my relatives were more positive about, well, we'll have our friends, neighbor friends, take care of the farm, and we'll maybe be able to come back. And so they did not lose everything. Although by the time they got back, the neighbor had turned it into an easy farm thing, so everything was kind of run down. But they were able to rebuild greenhouses, rebuild, things.
Did you know anybody who wanted to go back to Japan after all of this? Friends or relatives who said, we're done?
No, I didn't.
They still had faith in this country.
Yeah.
Well, it's also Japan lost the war, so it was a mess there too.
I remember Ji-chan did go back to visit his family, but Ba-chan didn't want to go back. Her father, she was an only child, and her father passed away during the war, so there was no one there. So she said, no, I don't want to go back. But Ji-chan did go back and visit. But no, I've not heard of anybody saying, I want to go back because of all this.
So describe what it was like coming back from being here and trying to assimilate back into high school and that culture with the feelings that people had towards
I was in junior high, and I remember feeling uncomfortable. And my good friends that I had from before the war were still good friends, but people that didn't know me, I could just feel it. And I remember walking down, going home from school one day, a group of students approaching me, and I on this side, and they came up to a certain point, they crossed, walked down, and then crossed again. So, things like that. It did happen for a little while, but not very long. And I remember walking into a store down in Milwaukee, and a young person was in front of me, and I was going in, and they spat on the floor as I walked by. And, things like that did happen, but it didn't happen for very long.